Hey everybody, welcome back to the Boston-Raleigh channel. We're doing Napoleon again. Let's go. Napoleon was big N or G. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I was supposed to start this like all clever and stuff, but I'm basking in the awe and the amazement of maybe the best general in all of human history, at least the very best in the 1800s and the 1700s. Probably like this whole millennium potentially. I mean, there's been a lot of very excellent. Alexander the Great. We had Hannibal Barca. You got some big generals in history. We got Napoleon. Napoleon here. He's the best. And we're gonna see why. Here is his tour through Italy. Which one is he doing again? Yes, this is Lodi. His Lodi campaign, 1796. Let's get into it. Gonna go and see what he does. I want to lead you into the most fertile plains in the world. Rich provinces, great cities will be in your power. There you will find honor, glory, and riches. Soldiers of Italy, will you lack the courage or constancy? General Bonaparte's proclamation to the Army of Italy, 27th of March, 1796.
Napoleon has spent 2 years studying the situation in northern Italy and
this man does his homework.
The history of past wars here. He has developed clear plans on how the campaign must be fought. Now, he will put them into action. Napoleon, with 38,000 troops, outnumbers the Piedmontese and the Austrian army. But if they combine, he will be outnumbered, so he must prevent this at all costs.
Dude is gonna play some absolute power play move here. I gotta imagine. I think I remember how this one went. I don't remember because I've heard of a lot of Napoleon's battles, but this one is interesting. So he's facing two armies. Both of them are about roughly similar to the size of his. So he's got to find a way to make the best of both worlds here without letting them unite and conquer.
His plan bears all the hallmarks of what will become known as the Napoleonic art of war. A bold, rapid advance, not against the expected target, Genoa, but Dago.
Yeah.
Here he will occupy the central position and prize his enemies apart. He knows that when threatened, the Piedmontese will retreat on their capital Turin, the Austrians on Milan.
Interesting.
With his enemies divided, unable to support each other, he can defeat each in detail. Napoleon's plan will be aided by the fragility of the Austro-Piedmontese alliance. They regard each other with deep distrust after years of rivalry.
So Piedmont is a particular region that they're really trying to actually fight with, and Austria's the big scary Austrian Habsburg Empire. If they get rid of the Piedmontese infantry first, if they're able to divide and then conquer Piedmont first, I'm guessing the idea is the Austrians are going to have to sue for peace because they're going to be outflanked, outmatched, and slightly outnumbered even at that point. And being able to, well, maybe not even outnumbered. I mean, Piedmont might be able to whittle down the troops, but it's at least an even match roughly after Piedmont is gone. So I'm guessing Napoleon's big move here is that divide and conquer, but it's how he forces the division that's going to be interesting.
The new Austrian commander, General Beaulieu, is experienced and was once considered energetic, but he is now 70 years old and does not know Italy. He is convinced the French will target Genoa, the port used by the British to supply their coalition allies.
That's really cool, actually, because you would think, the port city is the one you need to take first to establish a dominant position. But Napoleon's not interested in conquering Italy as much as he is in beating the other army. And I think that's a very interesting distinction. Having the British resupply gone would be good, but having a decoy target, like, they think you're going to go for Genoa, but you're not going to Genoa at all, that's so much more advantageous.
So much so that he rejects Piedmontese plans for close cooperation.
Interesting.
Their troops remain scattered across mountain passes in a general defense against invasion. On the 4th of April, Napoleon moves his headquarters forward to Albenga in preparation for his offensive. but Beaulieu strikes first. On the 10th of April, Austrian troops take Voltri to disrupt the expected French attack on Genoa. The small French garrison falls back to join Massena's advance guard at Savona. But Beaulieu's fixation with Genoa is playing into Napoleon's hands.
Yes.
Dago, with its vital crossroads that link the Piedmontese and Austrian armies, is covered by just 8,000 men of Argenteau's corps. Mountainous terrain means Beaulieu can only march to Argenteau's aid via Acqui, more than 20 miles to the north.
Look at that big old loop. They're not going to be able to do that. I mean, this is a very blown up small scale map here, where each of these little cities are the little towns and areas around there. I mean, not the little towns, but like, not small villages, but minor towns and everything. We're looking at, they're not going to be able to catch up. It's gonna be a bloodbath. By the time they get there to Dago, they're gonna be too late.
What's more, Argenteau has orders to take French positions at Montenotte as a diversion for the attack at Voltri. But the French cling on courageously. Corporal Gouache particularly distinguishes himself, exposing himself to enemy fire to shoot down on the enemy. His commander, Colonel Rampont, tells his men, "Here we must conquer or die," a moment which quickly enters French military folklore. It's the perfect setup for Napoleon. The enemy's attention is focused on Voltri, and Argenteau's corps has been left dangerously exposed. He swings into action, sending La Harpe's division to reinforce Rampont's troops, while Massena makes a tough night march across steep ravines in rain and fog to turn Argenteau's right flank. By dawn, the Austrians are outnumbered, outflanked, and under heavy attack. They retreat in disarray.
Yep.
Napoleon orders Massena to move on Dago, while he turns his attention to the Piedmontese. But Augereau's advance gets held up at Cosseria. The old castle is held by Piedmontese and Croatian grenadiers. The French launch frontal attacks into withering fire and suffer hundreds of casualties. When the colonel of the 18th Demi Brigade is killed, a 26-year-old Louis Gabriel Suchet takes over command. "I have never seen fire like it," wrote Marmont, Napoleon's aide-de-camp.
It's interesting here because you have a plan. Plans didn't go as completely as predicted, but they still have the armies prevented from merging, which is one of the major choke points of this whole campaign, is to ensure that you're not fighting one big massive army. There isn't like a Hannibal scenario where you've got just this one guy you can't take on head on. There are all these little pieces that you can take on independently. And so that really helps Napoleon, like, even getting held up, this is still going to probably go very well based on what I think. I don't even remember the outcome of this battle, but I'm still thinking this goes well.
Despite heroic resistance, the hopelessly outnumbered garrison surrenders the next day.
Yep.
With Serrurier's division also advancing from the south, Piedmontese commander General Colli has little choice but to abandon his position at Montes.
So this is also, it's also worth noting here. Napoleon is only able to do any of this because his men are competent. And this is part of why, like, the leadership structure is one of the biggest W's for Napoleon, is that he creates a structure in which merit gets rewarded. He puts the best people in the best position to do the best.
Zemolo. The same day, under Napoleon's watchful eye, Massena takes Dago.
Knocked out.
But while La Harpe's division moves off to reinforce Augereau, hungry French troops left in Dago turn to plunder and pillage.
Oh.
No one spots Colonel Vukasovic, a tough Croatian commander, approaching with 3,000 reinforcements.
For context, Croatia is a part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire at this point in time.
He attacks at dawn,
I believe,
routing the French and retaking Dago with ease. It requires the recall of La Harpe's division and another day of heavy combat before Vukašević can be driven out of Dago. A bayonet charge led by 27-year-old Colonel Lannes wins particular praise from General Bonaparte.
Let's go.
Napoleon has won 3 victories in 4 days. The marches and battles have been grueling, but he has achieved his first objective. The Austrians are regrouping at Acqui and will soon retreat to Alessandria. They can offer no support to the Piedmontese. And so General Colli orders another withdrawal to a strong defensive position behind the Corsalia River. Napoleon orders an immediate attack. Augereau's division on the right, Serrurier on the left, Massena in support. But the French, under heavy fire, struggle to cross the swollen river with its steep banks.
Yeah.
When Serrurier's troops finally get into San Michele, they immediately begin looting the town and are thrown out by a counterattack.
Eek.
Despite his success, Colli is still heavily outnumbered and fears encirclement. The following evening, he begins a covert withdrawal to Mondovì. But Napoleon is not deceived by the fake campfires. Patrols confirm his suspicions. The Piedmontese are pulling back. Though his troops are exhausted, wet and hungry, he launches them after the fleeing enemy.
That's a hard decision too, because you have to kind of keep morale up. You have to keep people invested. And so you're really towing a fine line there. When you tell your troops who are hungry, tired, exhausted, and wet, we still need to keep going, the general, like the initial gut reaction is going to be, but I really don't want to. Not just I don't want to. I really don't want to. We really don't want to do this. But it's what puts morale to the test. Is these kinds of situations. It puts the situation to the test in a way, because if you fail, there's going to be a morale drop. Maybe there's not going to be like mutinies or anything, but it's going to hamper the troops a little bit. Napoleon's biggest I think his biggest advantage overall is French patriotism. And that sounds like a very high up view of this, but it really does seem to me like there's a level of trust and honor that these people place in Napoleon throughout his whole history of campaigns, and this is very enigmatic of that.
Colli's troops are caught before they can establish a new defensive line. The brave and popular General Dicat is killed. Retreat turns to rout.
Yeah.
The French enter Mondovì in triumph, where at last, briefly, they can eat and rest.
They chased them. The 2 armies which lately attacked you in full confidence now fly before you in terror. General Bonaparte's proclamation to the army of Italy. Yep. It's not about look at what I have done. We've sent them packing all because of my great strategy. No. He goes to the army and says, those armies that were so damn confident about coming and kicking your ass, the 2 of them, the double our men together, you sent them flying before you, retreating in terror. Look at this army. Look at what we've been able to accomplish. That is what Napoleon said. That's what makes a leader.
General Colli, his defeated troops scattered and demoralized, requests an armistice. Napoleon declines as his troops descend from the mountains into the fertile plain of Piedmont.
Yeah.
Destitute and starved, French soldiers now plunder the Italian countryside freely. Brigadier General Joubert is among those frustrated by the men's conduct. Everything would go very well if the soldiers did not abandon themselves to pillage. Not a day passes without some looters being shot. Despite this severity, the mania doesn't stop. The rural folk are arming themselves.
It's not good.
Napoleon condemns such behavior, but his orders have limited impact. especially as everyone knows Generals Massena and Augereau to be two of the greatest offenders.
Yikes.
On the 25th of April, French troops enter Carrasco.
Hard to find good help these days, you know. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I am and I'm not kidding. It's that there's a long way to go. At this point in time, there's a long way to go for Napoleon to really recorrect the way that they do things. The primary target has to be conquest. It can't just be let's go and bust up some locals. Like you can do that, but this is their homeland. You can get rid of an army, but you can't completely conquer a population of people if you're just ransacking everything they own.
Just 30 miles south of the Piedmontese capital, Turin. Meanwhile, General Beaulieu is at long last marching to Piedmont's aid. But he is a week late. And when he learns that Piedmont has opened negotiations with the enemy, he withdraws his troops in disgust, planning to take up new positions along the Po River. Austrian troops join in the plunder of Piedmontese villages as they go.
Wow.
Victor Amadeus III, King of Piedmont Sardinia, sees no option but to accept Bonaparte's terms for an armistice.
What an absolute throwaway. You gave Napoleon the upper hand by going and ransacking towns. How do you explain to the Piedmontese, yeah, our allies who do the same thing Napoleon's army is doing? Like you can't defend that. Now the Austrians have made themselves an enemy of the people locally too. That's just gross. I mean, I can't believe that there's got to be a level of pride and lack of humility. So let's just go and take stuff on our way out. Really? Now they're going to hate you forever.
Piedmont must give up the strategic fortresses at Cuneo and either Alessandria or Tortona.
And this is the big point here. Piedmont's going to have to give all this stuff up because now Napoleon has an advantage. The Austrians have retreated, and there is no hope other than them suing for peace. So now Piedmont is done.
Leaving the country virtually defenseless.
Yep.
The final peace treaty, signed 3 weeks later in Paris, cedes Nice and Savoie to France, and grants free passage to French armies.
That's basically as good of a foothold as you're ever getting for those victories. That is fantastic.
Napoleon has ended the 4-year war with Piedmont in less than 3 weeks.
Yep. Soldiers, you have won 6 victories in a fortnight and conquered the richest part of Piedmont. But soldiers, you have yet done nothing, for there's still much. Oh, I can't talk. You have yet done nothing, for there still remains much to do. General Bonaparte's proclamation to the Army of Italy, 26th of April, 1796. What he's saying here is kind of what you have to do. You won 6 victories in a fortnight and conquered the richest part of Piedmont. But we still have way too much to do. Grab your butts. We're going on some more campaigns. We're getting rid of all these people. Look at all you've done. We're going to do more. We're going to go ransack everything. We're going to go destroy all of our enemies today. We're going to keep on winning. You're going to get tired of winning.
The Army of Italy has little time to rest on its laurels. 4 days later, having received 7,000 reinforcements and fresh supplies, it's on the move again. Napoleon plans to invade the rich province of Lombardy, ruled by the Emperor of Austria, and defeat Beaulieu's army. But first he must cross the Po River, which is closely watched by Austrian forces.
Let's go.
It will prove one of Napoleon's most brilliant maneuvers. Massena is ordered to make conspicuous preparations to cross the river near Salé, assembling boats and building gun batteries. Meanwhile, Napoleon has formed a new elite brigade, 5,000 grenadiers, carabiniers, and chasseurs to act as the army's advance guard under the
There's so many of these French words.
command of General d'Allemagne. This force is ordered to march rapidly east to Piacenza, and cover 40 miles in just 36 hours. There followed...
That's a long walk, by the way. 40-mile walk in a day and a half. It's going to tire your army. They got to carry all that stuff with them.
By La Harpe's division, then Augereau and the cavalry. Beaulieu receives reports that French troops are moving east and begins to redeploy his forces, while remaining conscious that there are still French troops that might cross the Po as far west as Valença.
Dude, we've got the mind games going on. They've got French troops that are sitting at the rear, waiting for them to push everything forward so that they can come in and take everything. Then you've got the French troops advancing along the river, which kind of it kind of necessitates a hurry up and go somewhere feeling in the overall idea here with Austria is that they're just they're getting played right now. They're getting played by both directions because you can't cede one to reinforce the other. And so what you're going to end up doing is just having two crappy armies in two crappy spots.
This uncertainty makes it impossible for him to concentrate his forces.
Yep.
What's more, he's completely underestimated the scale and speed of Napoleon's move.
Piacenza.
The French advance guard, with Colonel Lannes in the lead, crosses the Po on the 7th of May, chasing off Austrian patrols that are the only opposition. By the next morning, most of La Harpe's and Augereau's divisions and the cavalry are across, consolidating the French bridgehead, while Massena and Serrurier move to the crossing as fast as they can. Men of General Liptai's division are the closest Austrian troops. They take up defensive positions at Fombio, but are overwhelmed by the French attack. That evening, Beaulieu's advance guard arrives, expecting to reinforce Liptai. Instead, they blunder into La Harpe's division. In confused night fighting, General La Harpe is shot dead, possibly by friendly fire.
Ooh.
Napoleon regards him as one of the army's best generals, and his loss a great blow.
No! Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that Napoleon's getting right. You have your enemy come and fight you. And that's part of what was happening, is they're getting there early. They were able to sort of encircle, like pre-encircle the army that was approaching, or the part of the army that was approaching from the Austrians. They were able to get them to come, meet them at the edge of the river. They fought, they beat them up, they won. Now they're going and trying to fight pieces. There's an advance of Austrians, and you need to fight the Austrians in pieces. It's the best thing you can do.
Beaulieu, realizing that the French have crossed the Po in force and now threaten to cut him off, orders a rapid withdrawal east. Milan is to be sacrificed.
Wow.
The great fortress of Mantua will be his next refuge.
That's kind of wild that they just have to let Milan get kind of taken.
The French advance guard is soon in pursuit. On the morning of the 10th of May, they catch the Austrian rearguard at Lodi.
Yeah. All right, so here's what you do. The enemy is retreating. Find pieces of them in the back to pick off. That's going to really send a message. That means you're not playing around. You're not playing defensive. You're on the offensive. And they need to find a way to get rid of you as fast as possible. If that means suing for peace, that means suing for peace. If that means concessions, that means concessions. And so this is how Napoleon was able to be such a dominant force.
French troops chase the Austrians across town and over the town's 200-yard bridge over the River Adda. But when they try to follow, they find the bridge is swept by fire from 14 guns.
Ooh.
Its far end is held by 3 battalions of Croatian infantry.
So this is a smart move on Austria's part, because you have a perfect, like, the bridge is the only way to have anything cross. And because you've set up positions on the other side of the bridge already, the enemy is following you. Now, this is what makes it a little bit complicated, is that if you're Napoleon, you need to find a way to either A, encircle your enemy, which you can't do because of the bridge. B, you need to find a way to set up your own positions, which don't matter, because the enemy is already across the bridge and trying to get out of there. So if you set up positions with guns, it's not going to be shooting at anything. If you don't take the bridge, they're going to get away. And you can't get around because it's a big river. You see that geography there. There's no getting around that very easily. It's going to take forever. So what the Austrians have is a choke point to fire on them. So if done correctly, the Austrians could have a really, really good retreat here. They could they could just turn around and start shellacking all of Napoleon's men. Let's see what happens.
Several more battalions and cavalry squadrons are behind them in reserve. Around 6,500 men in total. Napoleon soon arrives and positions guns to bombard the Austrians on the far bank. An artillery duel rages for much of the afternoon.
So this is interesting. They've chosen the option where you set up guns, you dig in, and you start shooting. I think that this is, if I had to take a guess, this is a firefight that's just to try and be like a more of a pissing contest in a way. You're able to knock out some people on the other shore. You're able to fire on them. They're going to keep the units trained on the bridge, because if Napoleon's men want to cross the bridge, they're going to get shelled at. So you're just going to get you're going to see a lot of cannon fire. You're going to see a lot of this is what I think. This is what it seems like to me. The bridge is sort of no man's land, and there's cannons positioned on both sides of the river. So you're just going to have a shooting contest. If you can shell out your enemies more accurately than the enemies shell you out, you'll be in good shape. But they also need to keep the cannons trained on the bridge so that the French can't advance on the Austrians. So Austrians are going to be in a pickle.
Napoleon sends Beaumont's cavalry brigade upstream to look for a ford so they can cross the river and flank the Austrian defenses.
This is wild, actually. Cavalry encirclement via going the long way around. That's a little bit crazy. I did just say, by the way, there are 3 options. It seems like Napoleon's doing all 3. If they also cross the bridge, they're doing all 3 options at the same time.
But he grows impatient. Massena's division has begun to arrive from the south, bringing his strength up to 15,000 men and 30 guns.
Wild.
Napoleon makes a speech to the infantry, taunting them, daring them to take the bridge, then orders them forward. To cries of "Vive la République!" the hardened 2nd Carabinieri Battalion leads the charge.
They're doing all 3! They're encircling the enemy with the cavalry the long way round. They're firing at them from the banks with the heavy guns, and they're trying to cross the bridge. This is what I said is like the big dick energy here. Napoleon is like, you know what? Let's just do everything. We're gonna do everything. And I was thinking, yeah, you can't really do this because X, Y, and Z. No, forget that. Forget all of it.
They come under torrential fire from the Austrian guns. But urged on by Napoleon, Berthier, Massena, Lannes, and others, French infantry surge across, under, and around the bridge.
This isn't even defending the homeland quite literally. This is, we can take them, go charge. Go get them. Vive la République. Go get them. And they went and got them.
Faced with this irresistible onslaught, the Austrian front line crumbles. And with French cavalry across the river to the north, the rest of the Austrian rearguard begins an orderly withdrawal.
This is so smart because they did everything. They didn't have as much time to make a hasty retreat, so the cavalry was able to catch up to them. They had time. Now, because they had to defend the bridge, they had to kind of keep a little bit condensed there to shell on the French on the other side of the river. On that sort of northeast end, they had to have people there, which means that they had to have their army kind of slow down. That got the cavalry some time. Then you have the advance across the bridge, which kind of called the bluff, per se. Like, Napoleon has sent men across the bridge to completely flank them. Which means that the guns got overwhelmed, the troops got overwhelmed. This is all a complete victory. It is in a sense, this isn't like, oh, we were able to edge out our enemy. No, you completely routed and conquered them, basically, at this point. Wow, 2000. I no longer regarded myself as a simple general, but as a man called upon to decide the fate of the peoples, or the fate of peoples. Napoleon Bonaparte after the Battle of Lodi. Yeah, dude. It's a big move. Regardless of what you think of Napoleon, that's just a big move, and it's a big victory. Their casualty ratio was 4-1 in favor of the French. It's wild. It's so wild.
5 days after his victory at Lodi, Napoleon leads his army into the city of Milan.
Yeah.
They are welcomed by cheering crowds. Though in reality, Italians are deeply divided in their attitudes towards the French.
Well, because if you think about it, this is a France versus Austria campaign, and all these different little Italian states, they're not definitively in one direction or the other.
After Lodi, French soldiers have a new nickname for their general, Le Petit Corporal, the Little Corporal.
Yeah, dude.
It's a term of affection, because he gets his hands dirty, even aiming the guns himself, the job of an artillery corporal.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the little corporal, he goes, he gets his hands dirty, he does stuff. He's not literally on the front line charging, because that's usually dumb. You shouldn't do that all the time. You know, he did get stabbed in the leg and almost die in the previous battle against their little entrapment force. But you know, well, not the previous battle here, but previous video. Napoleon, very cool, very based, very goated. The little corporal is gonna keep kicking ass.
In just a month, Napoleon has transformed a war-weary, disheveled and demoralized army into a victorious fighting force, brimming with esprit de corps and eager for further conquests. While he, in his first campaign, has demonstrated extraordinary energy, mastery of detail, brilliant military intuition, above all, indomitable self-belief. It is this quality that inspires his soldiers to risk their lives for glory, for the Republic, and for the man they will one day acclaim their emperor.
Yeah, this is how legends are created. This right here, this is how legends are born. And no one is ever going to tell me that Napoleon wasn't one of the best there ever was. This is the kind of thing that happens. This is just the beginning, by the way. These two campaigns, we saw the Toulon siege, we've seen the Lodi siege, well, the Lodi kind of routing-ish. And now we've seen now we've seen two of these fights, and we're going to see a lot more. Castiglione. We're going to do that next time, though. We got another big victory. We got another big Napoleon battle. I'm enjoying these quite a bit. Lodi, the Goaty of Lodi. That's what he is. The Goaty of Lodi. We've seen him take another really big victory, and I'm happy to keep doing more of these. Let me know what you like about this, what you love about the Napoleonic stuff. Tell me what you want to see in the future in regards to other stuff. What do we do with epic history after Napoleon's conquest? Which this series is going to be a long one. This might be like a year. We're gonna have stuff on the other channel. We've been doing some French Revolution stuff on the Boston-Raleigh channel in regards to just finding videos to watch about the background here, because the military campaign is probably one of my favorites. It's like the big swing of this channel. We just see Napoleon destroying stuff, and then we got to learn about how that works. But we're not going to have the kind of videos. I'm not going to have the kind of patience to keep watching that much material in the French Revolution. We're going to have this series go on for probably a year or more. I want to see how it goes. I want to learn a lot of stuff. I know way more about the American Revolution than I do about the Napoleonic Wars, so this is going to be very, very interesting to me. We're all here to learn. I'm here to keep reacting. I'm here to keep watching, and I'm hoping that you guys are going to keep coming just to watch, to keep charging forward. We're winning a lot recently. We're expanding the channel quite a lot. We've grown 3 times the size in 6 months. So let's keep charging forward. 250 on the 250th year. Get us to 250 by the end of the year, and we'll be trucking forward. Definitely be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.